Hi everyone, you're welcome to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this baggy Ankara trouser with an elastic waistband. You can also call it wide leg palazzo trouser. So if this is what you're hoping to learn, please stay tuned to the end of this video, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. So for this trouser, you'll be needing 2 yards of Ankara fabric. Here I have 1.5 yard. That's why my trouser is not too wide. But if you want it very wide, you need at least 2 yards of Ankara fabric. So now I've opened it up, and now I'm going to fold it into two. Remember, you're folding on the wrong side of the fabric into two. And the measurement you are using to fold it is your hip measurement divided by 4 plus extra about 5 or more inches, depending on how wide you want it to be. So now I've marked the starting point, which is the waistline. So remember, this trouser is going to have an elastic waistband, so I'm going to remove 1.5 inch for the waistband. I marked 9 inches for the hip line and then 12 inches for my crotch depth. So I'm also going to go ahead and mark it on the other hand, so it will be easy to join it on a straight line. So now I'm connecting the point to form a straight line. That is the hip line, and then that is the crotch depth line. If you're on the smaller side, you can use 11 inches for your crotch depth. And do not forget that we removed 1.5 inch for the elastic waistband. So sorry, we should have marked the length of our trouser from the beginning, but I'm going to do that now. For my trouser, I'm going to be using 42 inches. So 42 inches, then I'm going to add 2 inches for allowance. So at the end of the fabric, we have 2 inches left. So I'm just going to use that to mark on the other side, so I can get an accurate and a straight line. So I'm gonna head to the straight line, and that is the hem of the trouser. So my hip measurement is 43 inches, but I'm going to be using 44 inches for this pants because my fabric is not enough. Please, you can add as much as possible inches you want to your hip measurement, depending on how wide you want the trouser to be. So I'm using 44 inches, so divided by 4, 11 inches. I've marked it on the hip line, on the waistline, and also on the crotch depth line. So I'm going to connect the points with my ruler like so. So for my crotch extension, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 20. So for me, I have 2.2 inches for my crotch extension. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it from the crotch depth line. So now I'm just going to draw my crotch curve from the hip line to the crotch depth line, as you're seeing. So I'm going to measure everything I have on the crotch depth line. So I have about 13.2 inches. So I'm also going to mark it all the way down to the end of the trouser. So that's what I'm doing right now. So after that, I'm going to connect all the dots with my chalk all the way down. And that's all for the front pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out now. So please pay attention to how I'm cutting it out so you won't make any mistake. So this is what the front pattern is looking like after cutting it all out. So for the back pattern, I'm gonna to fold my remaining fabric into two. Remember, you're folding on the wrong side, so you have to make sure there is about 2 inches extra on the upper part of the back pattern. So make sure your fabrics are secured on the side. You can use your pin to hold them down. So on the waistline for the back pattern, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. If you have a bigger back side, you can make it 2 inches depending on how big you are. So I connected it with a slant line to the waist, to the side. So for this back pattern, we are basically going to be adding 2 inches all around the measurement. So I've added 2 inches on the waistline. I've also extended that area by 1.5 inches and extended the slant line. So we're just going to be adding 2 inches to all the front measurement for the back pattern. So I'm extending the measurement by 2 inches, as you can see me doing, and also on the crotch depth line I also extended by 2 inches, and now I'm connecting with my chalk. So I'm also going to go ahead and add the 2 inches all the way down to the hem, and I've marked it with my chalk as well. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So I'm just making the back crotch deeper. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the side open, because we're going to be adding a pocket to both sides. So now to the sewing aspect, I'm going to take the front pattern, I'm going to place it together, right side facing right side, and I'm going to stitch the crotch depth area. I'm also going to stitch the back crotch depth as well. So this is what the front and the back pattern is looking like after stitching the crotch depth area, as you can see. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the pocket. I've cut out my pocket. So this is 4 pieces. So for the width of the pocket I have 8 inches, and then for the length I have 11 inches. So I just curved the pocket a bit. So now I'm going to pick one of the pieces and place it on the front pattern. I'm just going to come down by about 1 inch on the waist, and then I'm going to stitch on the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to stitch it down with about half an inch. I'm also going to pick another pieces and place it on the other side of the front pattern, like we did for the first side. I came down by 1 inch as well, and then I'm going to stitch it on the side. For the back pattern as well, I'm going to repeat the same process for the back pattern, stitching 1 piece each on each side. So this is what our trouser is looking like after stitching the pocket. So now I'm going to go ahead and place the front and the back pattern right side facing right side, and then I'm going to stitch from the waist with about half an inch. I'm going to stitch according to how I'm moving my hands on the pocket round, and then I'm going to continue from the end of the pocket down to the hem with about half an inch all the way down. So I'm going to head over to the machine now and do that for both sides. So this is what our pocket is looking like after stitching for both sides. Our trouser is already coming out. So now what I want to do is to stitch the crotch area all the way to the hem. So I'm going to do that for both sides as well. I'm going to stitch it with about half an inch all the way to the hem. So I'm going to head over to the machine now. So this is what our trouser is looking like after stitching the crotch area to the hem. So our trouser is already coming out nice already. So the next thing I want to do is to measure what we have on the waistline. So I'm going to measure it all the way around. So this is to enable us determine the accurate measurement for the waistband. So my fabric was not enough, so I'm going to be using a black material for my waistband. So altogether I have 47 inches. So I'm going to cut out this fabric for the elastic waistband. So for the width I have 4.5 inches. So on fold we're going to have about 2.25 inches, because the elastic is about 1.75 inches. So the remaining half inch is for sewing allowance. So I went ahead to cut out 48 inches for the length of this band. The remaining 1 inch is for joining, for sewing allowance. So I'm going to place the fabric right side facing right side, the end of the fabric. So at one end I marked half an inch. From the half an inch I went up by 1 inch. So the sides that I'm marking straight line on is where I'm going to stitch. So the side I left open, I'm also going to leave it open. So this is how it is looking after stitching it. So that opening is to enable us pass the elastic into the waistband after joining it to the trouser. So now I'm going to take the side that is opened, that is the front side. I'm going to place it on the front side of the fabric at the front pattern. So I'm going to place it, the open place is the right side. So now I'm placing my band on the right side of the front pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and join it all around with about half an inch. So this is what it is looking like after stitching the waistband. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the elastic into the waistband. So I'm going to be making use of this safety pin to install the zipper. So this is what our trouser is looking like after passing the elastic into the waistband. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch down the hand. So now we're going to sew on the elastic waistband. So here I'm making sure the elastic is straight and is not bending or curving in any way. So I'm going to be showing you how to run the stitches. So you're going to make sure to drag it just as you see me doing. The first stitch at the upper part, so now I'm going to go ahead to run the second stitch in the middle of the elastic band. So remember to drag it just as you see me doing. So this is what our elastic waistband is looking like. As you can see, it is neatly sewn. So now we're going to go ahead and stitch the hem of the trouser. So we are going to fold it inside into the wrong side of the fabric, and we're going to go ahead and stitch it for both end of the trouser. So this is what our trouser is looking like after stitching the hem. I'm going to stitch both hem, and so this marks the end of this tutorial. Please guys, do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, and also give this video a thumbs up. I'll be posting jaw-dropping tutorials every week, so you don't want to miss my tutorials. Thank you guys, see you in my next video.